We ran into an issue in our AWS account where we had hundreds of C drives that needed to be increased. And we didn't want to RDP into each machine or even use Session Manager or Puppet or another type of tool to do this manually. We really wanted to script this to get them all done at once, and that's what this does. So the issue was that the C drive was set to 64 gigs and was getting to the point where it was too small to install Windows updates. So we wanted to resize from 64 to 100 gigs, and that's what this script does. So I'll step you through the various components of this script so you can see what it's doing. And if you look at the bottom, basically what we're doing is reading in from a file called resize.txt. And resize.txt is just instance IDs, a list of instance IDs, one per line. So we are feeding that into this while loop. So we're reading an instance ID, one per line, and then doing something with that instance ID. And the first thing we're doing is setting the volume variable equal to the output of this command. And this command is describing the instances using the instance ID that came from resize.txt. And we're using grep, cut, truss, and awk to get the volume ID from the instance. So this command, if you took just this portion of the command and wanted to see what it did, you would get the volume ID returned. So we've set the volume variable equal to the volume ID, which is the root volume, SDA, on the Windows instance. So once we set that variable, the next thing we're going to do with this double ampersand, and by the way, double ampersand means to continue to the next command if the previous command succeeded in bash. So assuming this previous command setting the volume variable completed successfully, then the next command is to modify the volume and set the size to 100 using the volume ID that we captured in line 2. So let me set numbers so you can see the lines. So line 3, we're modifying the volume using the volume variable that we set in line 2. So we're just setting it to the size of 100, and then we're going to echo the instance ID just to have it on our screen, and then sleep for 15 seconds. And the reason we sleep for 15 seconds is because we're giving AWS a little bit of time to start the modify process. Because if you go on to the command in step 6 too early, it'll fail. So we're going to sleep for 15 seconds and then run the command that actually resizes the drive. So line 6 looks pretty complicated, so I'm going to step you through what's going on there. Basically what we're doing again is running the SSM send command, and we're using a document name called a built-in called AWS run PowerShell script, and we're going to pass parameters to it, and those parameters are commands. And the commands start here from this open left bracket, double quote, and it ends right here. Double quote, right bracket. So command starts left bracket, double quote, and ends double quote, right bracket. So what is the command? Well, I'll tell you that the command is separated by semicolons, and the semicolon in PowerShell is equivalent to the double ampersand in Bash. So the first thing we're going to do is get the volume information where the drive letter equals C, and we'll print that to screen. And then after that, we're going to, that's just informational. We don't even have to have that command there, but it's just sort of informational. But after that, we're going to run the update disk command on disk number 0, and also following that, update disk on disk number 1. And the reason we do that is because in PowerShell, the update-disk command is the equivalent of going to Disk Manager in the OS and doing a rescan disk. So, and the reason we're choosing disk number 0 and disk number 1 is because we don't know if C is 0 or 1, or SDA in this case is 0 or 1. We found instances where sometimes it was and sometimes it wasn't. So it doesn't hurt to rescan disk, and you have to pass a number to that command for update disk. So it doesn't hurt anything if you update -disk on all of the drives to rescan them, but we're just going to do 0 and 1. If you don't update disk, then the commands following it will fail. So what we do after the update disk is set a drive letter equal to C, and I've escaped the double quote, or else Bash will interpret that literally. And then we're going to set the size equal to the supported partition size for the drive letter C. And the reason we do that is because by this time the modify volume should be complete or nearly complete and has signaled to the operating system that the supported size is now the larger size. So we're going from 64 gigs to 100 gigs, and we're going to set that $size equal to the supported size. And then after that, we're going to resize the partition drive letter C to the new size, which is actually size max. So we're telling the operating system, give me the entirety of this volume. So about 25 or 30 gigs more to make it 100 gigs. So size max this drive. And then informational, we're going to get information about the volume again for C. The AWS SSM send command requires that you feed it an instance ID, and this $ID is coming from the while loop ID, which is coming from resize.txt. And then we're going to output this command to CloudWatch so that we can use a tool like CloudWatch Logs Insights to monitor the progress of this script. So that's what the script does. Let's see what it actually outputs when you run it. The first thing it does is give you the output of the volume modification command. So if you, as we can see here, the original size was 64 gigs and the target size was 100. That's what we would like it to do, is increase it to 100. And it's currently modifying, so that's good. And then in the script, you might remember that I echoed the instance ID, which starts I dash. And then the command after that is the SSM command, which is run PowerShell script and AWS built-in. And then the command that we looked at earlier is right here. And it's operating on this instance ID, which is the same instance ID as this one here. So it's pending, which is basically running. We didn't supply S3 output for this. We supplied CloudWatch output for this. I didn't give it a log group name, so it's going to go to the default, which I believe is /AWS/SSM/AWS run PowerShell script or something along those lines. So you could go to Logs Insights and take a look at the output if you wanted to. And that's basically what it looks like. So again, what we're doing in the script is taking the C drive or the SDA volume in Windows for hundreds, if not thousands of machines, and modifying that size from 64 gigs to 100 gigs via a script so that we don't have to use the console or use RDP to accomplish the same. So if you have any questions, just leave a comment in this video and I'd be happy to help. Thanks for watching.